The British Isles, peaceful and beautiful, right? No. In what is now England, for many centuries there were many kingdoms that competed with each other for power. This period was later known as the Heptarchy. One of these kingdoms was Wessex, the homeland of today's hero. Somewhere between the years 847 and 849 he was born. Yes, even as a child there was something about him. He was Alfred, but not great yet. Alfred was both lucky and unlucky. Why? Because he was the fifth son of his father and was more likely to become the next bishop of Wessex rather than a king. And that was the unlucky part. Now, the lucky one. He was born in a kingdom that would become the dominant power in the 9th century, and his brothers would die as quickly as he was growing up, so the first of them, Aethelstan, died in 852. Sad news, not for him. By the way, in the 9th century, Vikings started to be a bit pushy. Why? Maybe because they were raiding across the Isles, settling down, and worst of all, they are Heathens. Alfred's family fought against them like the rest of the Anglo-Saxons, but sometimes they won, and sometimes they just didn't. Speaking of the dead, Alfred's father, Ethelwulf, died in 858 and his lands were split between two of his sons. But why only two if he had four at the time? Because Alfred and Ethelred were still too young to rule. Now, let's get back to the older brothers. Athelbald became the main king of Wessex, while his brother Ethelberth ruled Kent and Sussex as any other king. And so, the lands of Wessex were divided. Oh, what's this? Ethelbald died? Oh, okay, that was fast. In fact, he died in 860 and Ethelberth succeeded him. The lands were once again in the hands of one king. What could possibly go wrong now, huh? The king can't just die, right? Right? Ethelberth died in 865, and as if that wasn't bad enough, the biggest Viking army ever arrived in Britain. They would be remembered as the Great Heathen Army. The throne was succeeded by around 20-year-old Athelred. During Athelred's reign, Alfred became more politically active. The new king, along with his younger brother, fought against the Vikings in many battles. But all duos must come to an end. And of course, Athelred died in 871. That was bad and sad, but there was a silver lining. Alfred became king.
But wait, Athelred had two sons.
Yes, but they were only around 2 years old and the nobility really liked what they had, and surely a 2-year-old child wouldn't be able to defend the country. So Alfred became king. And now he was going to fight and win, he was going to be great. And then he signed a peace treaty and most likely paid the Vikings to leave. Yeah. The Vikings left Wessex that same year, bringing a temporary peace. But how long would it last? Of course, not for long. What did you expect? They are Vikings. And like the Vikings, I will keep coming back with new videos, so you can leave a like, subscribe and support the channel, thanks! But enough about me, let's get back to the main track. The year 876 came, and so did the Vikings. This time, the army was led by Guthrum. Meanwhile, the Vikings had already taken over Northumbria, East Anglia, and forced the king of Mercia to flee. But now, back to 876. The Vikings took Wareham, but Alfred blocked them in. Alfred negotiated peace, but the Vikings betrayed him and escaped to Exeter. So Alfred blocked them again and forced them to leave. Frustrated, the Vikings pillaged Western Mercia as compensation. The next year was relatively peaceful, if we can call it that, but the following year was intense. The Vikings attacked Pippin unexpectedly, and Alfred was forced to escape Athelney. When Alfred regrouped with his remaining forces, he began raising a new army. And when he was ready, in the same year, he marched to destroy the Vikings. The Battle of Edington, the most important event in Alfred's life, had begun. And how did it end? In total victory for Alfred. Now, Alfred set the conditions. First, Guthrum and his men must be baptized. And second, Alfred and Guthrum established the borders of their countries, which looked like this. Now Alfred could finally rest, right? No. After the Battle of Edington, Alfred knew that the Vikings were still a dangerous enemy, so he introduced many reforms. First, Alfred built a network of fortified towns called burhs to protect against future invasions. Second, he reformed the army by introducing a rotation system in which half the army served while the other half rested. Third, our king created a navy so the Saxons could fight the Vikings at sea. Fourth, he introduced a new legal code that combined Anglo-Saxon and Christian laws, making Wessex more stable. And finally, as his fifth reform, Alfred promoted education and Christianity, supporting scholars and translating important texts into Old English. Interestingly, Alfred learned Latin and even started translating texts into his native language. He had really good relations with the church, which contributed to the development of culture and science year by year. These reforms were a major turning point in the history of Wessex and England. Who's there? Vikings! Yes, the Vikings came back in 885 and raided Kent, but Alfred fought them off. Then, in 886, Alfred recaptured London from the Vikings and handed it over to his merchant vassal, Athelred, who married Alfred's daughter Athelflaed. This was also the year when Alfred was no longer just King of Wessex. He became King of the Anglo-Saxons. Alfred's final test came in 892 when the Vikings invaded once again. But thanks to Alfred's reforms, the Vikings struggled and eventually gave up and left. Afterward, Alfred continued to stabilize and develop his kingdom. Unfortunately, he died in 899, but he would be remembered forever as Alfred the Great. Later, his son Edward the Elder continued Alfred's work, and even later, Edward's son Athelstan would unite England, becoming its first king. And that's all for now. If you enjoyed the video and my voice, leave a like, subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, check out the link below. See you soon, hopefully before the next Viking raid.